A simple house in the center of Tehran turned out to be a secret base for Mossad agents. No one suspected that behind the modest walls and friendly smiles, three Israeli spies were hiding, but a small mistake led to their exposure. The headquarters was burned to the ground, shocking the world. What happened next made Israel's prime minister tremble and left him speechless. Don't miss the real story, hotter than a war. In a not-so-busy but strategically important corner of Tehran stood an ordinary house. The walls were weathered, the roof tiles cracked in places, and the iron gate at the entrance often jammed. People thought the house was empty or, at best, occupied by ministry employees who were rarely home. But in reality, this house was the secret headquarters of three Mossad agents who had infiltrated Iran. All three had fake documents. Avi, a Wi-Fi maintenance technician, Ron, a private tutor, and the most eccentric, Gilad, who posed as a seller of organic honey. Inside the house, the living room wasn't what it seemed. Behind a false wall was a small command center with state-of-the-art espionage equipment, servers, encryption devices, and surveillance monitors. Even the door to the secret room was disguised as a shoe cabinet. Their activities were nearly undetectable. They left the house no more than twice a day. If visitors came, only one person greeted them. They blended in so well that some neighbors even thought the three friends were writing a novel together, as they were always typing at night. However, their success began to unravel due to a small mistake. Gilad ordered a French perfume online, using his real name, and had it delivered to the headquarters address. The problem was that the package was held up at customs, and the recipient's name triggered an alert in Iran's intelligence system. From that moment, everything escalated. In the basement of Iran's intelligence agency, a young analyst named Reza stared at his computer screen, frowning. He grew suspicious of the French perfume package sent to someone not registered as a local resident. "Something's off, Iran," he told his commander. "The sender's name doesn't match the civil registry, and this perfume is unusual. It's often a code for foreign agents." The commander nodded slowly and ordered, "Watch the house. Don't act rashly. Let's make sure it's not just a Wi-Fi technician having a personal crisis." That evening, several plainclothes operatives began surveilling the house. They used ordinary cars, some even posing as kebab vendors. Cameras were hidden in food boxes, and microphones were directed from a nearby stall. 3 days of observation yielded suspicious findings: unusual digital communication patterns, a hidden antenna on the roof, and overly disciplined movements by the occupants. Gilad, who went out too often just to buy soap, also raised suspicions. "No normal person bathes 3 times a day, especially in winter," one agent noted. On the fourth day, the Iranian team was convinced when they intercepted an encrypted signal sent from the house abroad, formatted like those used by Mossad. The commander decided, "Tomorrow night, we raid, but no weapons. We want them alive if possible. If the headquarters is full of secret documents, we burn it." At 5 a.m. on the fifth day, silence enveloped the house. The air was cold, the wind icy, and the sky dark and overcast. A covert operation began. Iranian special forces, disguised as civilians, approached from 4 directions. They wore masks and carried tasers. As they neared, the house's lights were still on, indicating the occupants were awake. Gilad was watching an old movie, while Avi and Ron discussed a signal from northern Iran they suspected had been intercepted. Unaware, the house was surrounded. The front door was kicked in. The 3 Mossad agents were caught off guard. They tried to flee to the basement, but the Iranian forces captured them quickly. All 3 were handcuffed, blindfolded, and led out. The commander ordered, "Burn everything, leave nothing." Several team members doused the interior with gasoline, especially the secret room with data and communication equipment. Within seconds, a fierce fire erupted, and black smoke rose into the sky. Worried and panicked neighbors began running outside, but no one was allowed to approach. Some thought it was just a fire, but small explosions inside the house made others realize something was amiss. "Hey, it looks like that wasn't an ordinary house," one neighbor remarked. When the house was reduced to rubble in a metal server frame, the fire not only destroyed the equipment, but also the reputation of the Foreign Intelligence Service. On an ordinary morning in Jerusalem in the Prime Minister's office, everything was business as usual: meetings, reports, and a cup of black coffee without sugar for Benjamin Netanyahu. But the calm was shattered when an intelligence officer burst in, pale and sweating. "Mr. Prime Minister, we've lost contact with the team in Tehran. Their headquarters was burned." Netanyahu went silent, his coffee cup trembling. Instinctively, he clutched his head as if to ensure his brain hadn't collapsed from shock. "Burned? They were discovered?" he asked. The officer only nodded. A telegram video spread. 3 men were dragged from the house as it burned. Shouts in Hebrew echoed. Netanyahu leapt from his chair and paced the room like a headless chicken. Galat handled encryption. How could this happen? He was the best in his class, he exclaimed, adding sarcastically, though sometimes he cared more about his hairstyle than security. In an instant, the room became a crisis zone. All Mossad channels were reviewed, and overseas operations were temporarily halted. This wasn't just a failed mission. It was a direct blow from Iran to the heart of their intelligence. Netanyahu sat down again, now pale. "If this goes public, we'll lose not just the agents, but our credibility," he muttered. Meanwhile, in Tehran, the 3 agents, Avi, Ron, and Galat, were taken to a heavily guarded intelligence building. They were separated and interrogated with gentle but psychologically intense methods. Ron tried to stay calm. "I'm just a tutor, arrested by mistake." The officers laughed and showed drone footage of him installing a listening device on a water tower. "A tutor climbing towers now," they mocked. Galat was even more flustered, blaming Avi for forgetting to disable a satellite signal. He was too busy texting his girlfriend in Haifa and forgot to encrypt. The officers recorded everything with a smile. Avi, the leader, stayed calm, knowing the interrogation was a formality. His bigger concern was whether Israel would rescue them or pretend they didn't exist. An officer brought a note. "Tomorrow you'll appear live on national television. The government wants the people to know who you really are." The 3 exchanged looks. Galat panicked. "I haven't shaved my mustache, bro." Ron sighed. "Let's just accept it. Hopefully our faces look good on TV." That night, all of Iran watched the live press conference. The 3 agents, handcuffed and surrounded by intelligence officers, were shown without censorship or blur. Their real names, countries of origin, fake passports, and evidence of espionage were revealed. The host opened with a sarcastic tone. "Good evening, people of Iran. Tonight we have 3 special guests from a foreign intelligence agency. Sadly, they didn't come for a vacation." The international reaction was immediate. Western media couldn't refute the overwhelming evidence. Some countries supported Iran for dismantling a foreign operation. Others feared this was the start of a larger escalation. In Israel, Netanyahu covered his face with his hands and whispered, "I need an aspirin and a new plan." After the broadcast, Iranian media milked the moment with headlines like "Zionist headquarters burned," "Victory without bullets," and "Iran unmasks a spy operation in the city's heart." A local poet even wrote a poem called "An Ordinary House, Hell Within." In mosques, Friday sermons spoke of protecting Iran's honor and how enemies could take any form, even that of an overly smiley honey seller. Meanwhile, in prison, Galat began learning Persian from a guard to, as he put it, order sweet tea with a local accent. In Jerusalem, the atmosphere was tense. Netanyahu, exhausted, faced pressure from the media, the opposition, and a public wondering if the agents had been sacrificed. Weeks later, Iran sent a diplomatic message through a third country. They didn't want war, but wanted to show strength. They proposed treating the agents per international standards, but wanted Israel to indirectly admit its mistake. The agents started receiving better food, even tea and sweet bread. Galat joked, "It's not as bad as my Tel Aviv apartment." Ron began a diary, while Avi silently calculated rescue odds. One lonely night, Netanyahu watched a TV replaying the burning of the Mossad headquarters in Tehran. He closed his eyes and whispered, "Everything can burn, even power." 3 weeks later, the world was still discussing the event. Iran became a symbol of counterintelligence success. Netanyahu, once resolute, was now more cautious. At a press conference, he spoke heavily. "Israel will always protect its citizens, but today's world isn't controlled by shadows and secrets." It was a veiled admission, just as Iran wanted. The 3 agents were moved to diplomatic facilities with rumors of a possible prisoner swap. But for Avi, Ron, and Galat, the damage was done. Their mission failed, their identities exposed. They became a symbol of defeat. Galat, gazing at the sky through his cell window, said, Avi, if we survive, I want a new job. Selling honey sounds calmer. Avi smirked. Just don't ship it to Iran, or they'll think it's a honey bomb. Their laughter mingled with the night wind. Outside, the world remained consumed by power, ambition, and propaganda. But inside, the three grasped the truth. In the world of espionage, it's not just headquarters that burn, but pride. As an Iranian officer said on their arrest day, a house can be rebuilt, but if you play with fire in the wrong place, don't be surprised if more than the roof burns.